Nick Suzuki stood in front of reporters at a golf tournament this week and said something that Montreal Canadiens fans didn't expect. Asked about his team's quiet offseason, the captain didn't dodge the question. He said the same group coming back could actually be an advantage. Then, in a separate interview days later, he addressed something even bigger: the growing gap between his own salary and what the league's top players are making right now. Kent Hughes didn't make a splash this summer. No blockbuster trade, no marquee free agent signing, nothing that changed the identity of this roster. For a team that made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Final before losing to Carolina, that's a bold way to spend an offseason. Nick Suzuki addressed it directly at the Assista Foundation Golf Tournament, an event he personally sponsors. This was the first time in several weeks he'd taken questions from reporters, and the topic came up almost immediately. He didn't dance around it. Having the same group of players return without any new additions could be an advantage, he explained, pointing to chemistry, comfort with the system, and continuity as the payoff. It's a fair point. A locker room that's already comfortable with the systems can hit the ground running instead of losing the first quarter of the season figuring out new pieces. But it's also the kind of thing a captain has to say publicly, whether he fully believes it or not. Suzuki went further though. He specifically named two players still without contracts, Arber Xhekaj and Zachary Bolduc, calling both of them important on the ice and in the room, and said he hopes their situations get resolved soon. That's the tension sitting underneath this whole offseason. Public confidence in continuity paired with real questions still unanswered heading into camp. Suzuki didn't just mention Xhekaj and Bolduc in passing. He went out of his way to describe what each of them brings. On Xhekaj, he was specific. Arber is a huge presence in the locker room, but also on the ice because of what he brings, he said. Xhekaj has built a reputation as a physical, high-energy defenseman who changes the tone of games, the kind of player teams miss immediately when he's not in the lineup. Meanwhile, has become a name that keeps surfacing in Montreal's forward mix, a player the captain clearly views as part of the core going forward, not a depth piece. Suzuki's comment that he hopes both contract situations get resolved wasn't a throwaway line. It was as close as a captain typically gets to publicly nudging his front office to get something done. This shows the difference between a team that's happy to stand pat and a team that has specific business left on the table. Unresolved contracts have a way of becoming distractions if they drag on too long. While Suzuki was defending the front office's patience, another storyline was building around his own contract. He carries a cap hit of $7,875,000. That deal is 5 years old now, and the market has moved a long way since he signed it. Asked directly about the gap between his salary and what top players are getting paid today, his answer was calm. That's what happens when you sign a long-term deal, he said. It's been 5 years now. Times have changed. He didn't ask for sympathy either. In this room, guys just want to win, he said. Some players took less money to get here. That makes a difference. Then he added, and we still make enough money to be set for life. Closing the thought without any complaint behind it, here's why that number matters. This past season, Suzuki put up 101 points, 29 goals and 72 assists across 82 games, finishing at plus 37. Montreal went 48-24-10, good for 6th overall in the league. In the playoffs, he added 16 points over 19 games, 4 goals and 12 assists, though his rating slipped to -8 as the run wore on. A captain putting up that kind of production for under $8 million, while stars elsewhere pull in $14 to $17 million, is not a small detail. It raises a real question. Does Hughes lock Suzuki up on a market rate extension before that number becomes impossible to ignore? Or does he let the captain keep playing at a discount while the league catches up around him? Now here's where things get more uncertain, and I want to be upfront that this next part is built on insider commentary, not a confirmed transaction. Samuel Montembeault is still on Montreal's roster heading into camp. According to Quebec radio host Louis Jean, speaking on the airwaves of 98.5 FM, he believes Kent Hughes tried over the summer to move Montembeault but never got an offer that made sense to accept. That's Jean's read on the situation, not an official statement from Hughes or the organization, but it lines up with what fans have watched play out. Montembeault came into Montreal off waivers, so the team never gave anything up to acquire him. That usually makes a player easier to move, not harder. Instead, he's still here, still on the roster. What's changed recently is Edmonton. The Oilers signed goaltender Frederik Andersen this offseason, betting on a Stanley Cup winner who has battled injuries for years. In his last 4 seasons, Andersen played in just 34, 16, 22, and 35 games. This week, Edmonton announced Andersen suffered a training injury and will not take part in camp. That puts Edmonton in an uncomfortable spot. Their cap space sits at just under $2 million, and Montembeault's cap hit is $3.15 million. Any deal would need a matching roster player attached to make the money work. Nothing has been confirmed. This is speculation building off a real injury. Nothing more at this stage. What a move like that would actually do for Montreal is worth mentioning. It would let goaltending prospect Jacob Fowler stay with the big club this season instead of getting squeezed out. For a young goalie trying to develop, that matters. While the contract talk and trade speculation play out in interviews and on radio shows, the actual roster has been working. Multiple players were seen training together recently, including Zachary Bolduc, Philip Denault, Mike Matheson, Alexander Carrier, and Jaden Struble, alongside a group of prospects and visiting players from other organizations. Montembeault himself was among the players spotted training, working with goaltending coach Marco Marciano alongside Fowler. That detail matters because it confirms Montembeault is still preparing as a Canadiens goaltender right now, regardless of any trade chatter floating around him. That's an important distinction to hold on to here. Reports and speculation about a goalie's future are one thing. What's actually happening at the practice facility is another. Right now, the facts on the ground say Montembeault is still a Montreal Canadien, still training with the organization, and still positioned to be part of this roster when camp opens. Put these pieces together and you get a clearer picture of where Montreal stands. The captain is publicly backing a quiet offseason as a strength built on chemistry and continuity. At the same time, he's naming specific holes, Chikaj and Bolduc's contracts, that still need to get done. His own contract sits well below market value for a captain of his production, which is either loyalty to the group or a bill that's going to come due eventually. And in net, there's still an open question mark, with insider chatter suggesting Hughes wanted to move on from Montembeault but couldn't find the right deal, while an injury in Edmonton has reopened that possibility without anything confirmed. None of this points to panic. Montreal made the Eastern Conference Final. This is a team with real pieces in place, but it's also a team with unresolved business heading into camp. And how Hughes handles the next few weeks will say a lot about what kind of season this turns into. So here's where the Canadiens actually stand right now. A captain defending a quiet summer while naming the exact players still without deals. A goaltending situation built more on radio speculation than confirmed moves. And a captain playing well below market rate while staying quiet about it in public.